What if the ordinary choices you make in your backyard are quietly stealing years from your home's curb appeal and overall value? Imagine stepping outside and seeing a garden that feels fresh, timeless, and truly yours, instead of a relic of the last decade's fads. Below are 18 common yard trends that prove this hidden aging is real, and how you can reverse each one to give your property a younger, more confident look. Number 18. Synthetic turf laid over a sprawling lawn. Synthetic grass surged in popularity after 2010 as a no-maintenance solution for busy homeowners, and by 2022, more than 5 million households in the United States had installed some form of artificial turf. The thick, uniformly green carpet looks immaculate in the summer, but the plastic fibers turn a faded grey-green after a few seasons of sun exposure, instantly marking the yard as a product of the early 2010s. Moreover, the rubber infill heats up in midsummer, often reaching surface temperatures of 140 degrees Fahrenheit, 60 degrees Celsius, stressing any nearby plantings and creating an uncomfortable microclimate for pets and children. Studies from the University of Arizona have shown that prolonged exposure to such heat can reduce the vigor of adjacent perennials by up to 30%. Replace the artificial lawn with a mixed native grass seed blend, such as a combination of Bouteloua gracilis, blue grama, Poa pratensis, Kentucky bluegrass, and Festuca rubra, red fescue, and a few drought-tolerant perennials like black-eyed Susan, Rudbeckia hirta, and blanket flower, Gaillardia pulchella. After the first year, the lawn will develop texture, color variation, and a natural scent that ages gracefully for decades, while also providing a cooler, more breathable surface for kids and pets. Number 17. Overused stone pavers forming a hardscaped patio island. From 2005 to 2015, developers marketed large rectangular stone patios as the centerpiece of suburban backyards, often quoting low maintenance as a selling point. The uniform slate or flagstone slabs create an uninviting, cold surface that reflects the sun and discourages the surrounding plant life from thriving. The hard edges also interrupt the natural flow of rainwater, leading to erosion and moss buildup at the slab seams. Issues documented in a 2018 Iowa State University Extension report that found 42% of such patios suffered drainage problems within 5 years. Rework the patio into a series of smaller, staggered stepping stones set in a low-maintenance gravel or bark mulch bed. Interplant low growers such as creeping thyme, Thymus sapillum, sedum spurium, or dwarf ferns, Polypodium vulgar, between the stones. This softer layout invites foot traffic, adds fragrance, and integrates the hardscape with the surrounding garden in a way that feels contemporary rather than dated. Adding a modest fire pit or a built-in bench of reclaimed concrete can further soften the visual impact while providing functional gathering spots. Number 16. Brightly colored plastic garden ornaments, gnomes, flamingos, and rainbow-colored wind spinners. These kits appeared in home improvement stores in the early 2000s, promising a fun and whimsical garden vibe. The garish plastics, however, fade to a chalky white after a few seasons of UV exposure, and the novelty quickly becomes a visual cue for a yard stuck in the early 2000s aesthetic. A 2017 Consumer Reports survey found that 68% of respondents associated bright pink flamingos with out-of-date landscaping. Swap the plastic pieces for a single, well-chosen piece of weathered metal art or a reclaimed wooden sculpture that develops a natural patina. For example, a rusted steel kinetic sculpture can become a focal point that changes with the wind, while a reclaimed barn beam carved into a minimalist abstract form adds texture without overwhelming the landscape. A single, tasteful focal point adds personality without overwhelming the landscape and can be moved or updated as your design preferences evolve. Number 15. The clipped box hedge, rabbit topiary, or U-shaped dolphin topiary. Topiary animals peaked between 1970 and 1990, imported from English estate gardens as status symbols for American suburban front yards. A well-shaped boxwood peacock in a Long Island driveway in 1978 signaled craftsmanship, but today the monthly hand-shearing required to maintain the precise silhouette is a maintenance nightmare. Miss a single session and the animal quickly dissolves into a shapeless green blob, and after 15 years the plant's interior dies, leaving only a skeletal form. Replace the topiary with a single evergreen of natural form, such as a dwarf weeping spruce, Picea abies pendula, a Japanese maple, Acer palmatum sangokaku, or a corkscrew willow, Salix matsudana tortuosa. These plants provide a focal point, require only one annual pruning to remove dead wood, and age gracefully, turning your front yard into a timeless showcase rather than a dated exhibit. Incorporating an underplanting of hostas, hosta species, or ornamental grasses like Japanese forest grass, Hakonikloa macra, can add seasonal interest and soften the base of the evergreen. Number 14. The wooden wishing well placed in the middle of the front lawn. From 1960 through 1995, a small wooden well with a shingle roof and a rope handle became a common decorative element in suburban front yards. The untreated wood weathers to grey-silver within 5 years, the shingles curl, and the rope frays, turning the structure into a visual reminder of the era it was installed. Replace the well with a single distinctive flowering tree such as a Japanese Stewartia pseudocamellia, an eastern redbud, Cercis canadensis, or a witch hazel, Hamamelis virginiana. These trees provide year-round interest, attract pollinators, and increase property value without the maintenance of a decorative structure. If the well holds sentimental value, relocate it to a private rear garden corner where it serves as a nostalgic piece rather than a front yard focal point. There, you can surround it with shade-loving perennials like hostas, ferns, and a still bay to create a quiet, contemplative nook. Number 13. The wavy decorative edging that runs along the foundation bed. Plastic or precast concrete scalloped edging was a mass-produced trend from 1980 to 2005, mimicking Victorian cast-iron borders. The plastic strips fade to a chalky off-white after 2 seasons and crack under winter freeze-thaw cycles. The concrete pieces chip and eventually heave out of the soil. Pull the scalloped edging and, in early spring, use a half-moon edger to cut a 3-inch deep vertical line that follows the natural curve of the bed. Mulch to the cut line, and the sharp edge will stay defined for 6 to 8 weeks before a quick recut is needed. This method preserves the clean line without the dated plastic or concrete artifacts, and it allows the surrounding soil to breathe, encouraging healthier root development for the plantings that follow. Number 12. The carpet of identical annuals, petunias, pansies, impatiens, or marigolds planted in a tight grid along the front of the house. Mass-installed annual bedding was popular from the 1970s through the 1990s. Landscape crews would lay down flat trays of identical pink begonias or orange marigolds, creating a uniform, eye-catching display that was replaced each fall. Today, the repeated pattern reads like an institutional landscape, more common at office parks than at homes, and the cost of replanting each season, often $60 to $120 per bed, adds up quickly. Replace the annual carpet with a mixed perennial border consisting of 3 to 5 species: a long-blooming Coreopsis, Coreopsis verticulata, or Salvia, Salvia nemorosa as the foundation, structural foliage plants such as Heuchera, Heuchera species, or Sedum, Sedum autumn joy, and a tall accent like Russian sage, Perovskia atriplicifolia, or a dwarf coneflower, Echinacea powwow. This combination offers 15 to 20 years of color from a single $50 planting, eliminates the need for annual replanting, and gives the garden a mature, established appearance. Adding a low-maintenance ground cover such as creeping thyme or Ajuga reptans can further fill gaps and reduce weed pressure. Number 11. The 20-foot residential flagpole standing as the centerpiece of the front lawn. Flagpoles became a landscaping staple between 1975 and 2005, often serving as the sole focal point of a yard. When surrounded only by a circular bed of red, white, and blue annuals, the pole dominates the design, making the rest of the landscape feel like an afterthought. The pole itself is not the issue. The problem lies in the lack of complementary plantings. Keep the flagpole if it holds personal meaning, but relocate it to a corner of the property and anchor the front yard with a small flowering tree, layered shrubs, or a perennial bed beneath the pole. For most yards, a wall-mounted flagpole near the front door provides the patriotic function without commandeering the entire landscape. Adding a low hedge of dwarf boxwood, Buxus microphylla, or a cluster of ornamental grasses such as feather reed grass, Calamagrostis times acutiflora, Carl Feuerster, can soften the vertical line and create a more balanced visual composition. Number 10. The bright turquoise, neon orange, or lipstick red glazed ceramic pots that dominate porches and entryways. From 2010 through 2023, bold, saturated container colors arrived with the maximalist interior design wave and quickly infiltrated suburban gardens via home improvement television and Instagram. A $200 turquoise glazed pot creates instant visual impact, but the vivid hue ages as quickly as the avocado green kitchen appliances of the 1980s. By 2026, the color feels out of step. Choose containers that develop a natural patina over time, such as terracotta that weathers to a soft moss green or weathered metal, and cast stone in neutral earth tones. Let the plant itself provide the color splash. A mature boxwood in a terracotta urn looks as fresh at year 2 as it does at year 20. For a modern twist, opt for oversized concrete planters in slate or limestone finishes, which can be paired with ornamental grasses, dwarf conifers, or a single striking bloom like a dwarf lavender, Lavandula angustifolia hidcote. Number 9. The lone maple, oak, or ornamental tree planted directly in the middle of an open front lawn. Developers in the post-war era, 1950s to 1990s, set houses back 30 feet from the curb and placed a single tree at the exact center of the lawn rectangle. The open lawn conveyed order and simplicity, but today the solitary tree suggests an unfinished design. The grass beneath the canopy thins and mower blades scar the exposed roots, often leading to a dead zone that requires extra watering and fertilizer. Transform the space by mulching a flat ring around the trunk, extending 3 feet beyond the drip line, and planting shade-loving perennials such as hostas, heuchera, astilbe, hellebores, and ferns. The tree becomes the anchor of a layered shade garden, and the yard instantly reads as a thoughtfully designed space rather than a developer-issued template. Adding a low-lying ground cover like sweet woodruff, Galium odoratum, can further suppress weeds and keep the mulch intact. Number 8. The volcano mulch mound, piled 12 to 18 inches high against the trunk of a tree. Landscape companies have sold this practice for the past 25 years, mistakenly adapting a European winter protection method for year-round use. The cone of mulch looks tidy from the street, but it traps moisture against the bark, encouraging rot, fostering adventitious roots that girdle the trunk, and inviting fungal pathogens such as Armillaria species. Over 3 to 7 years, the tree's canopy will yellow, thin, and eventually collapse. The correct approach is to pull the mulch back at least 3 to 4 inches from the trunk, exposing the root flare to air. Spread the remaining mulch in a flat 2 to 3 inch ring extending to the drip line. This simple adjustment allows the tree to breathe, restores healthy growth within a single season, and prevents further decay. For larger specimens, consider adding a drip irrigation line beneath the mulch to maintain consistent soil moisture without overwetting the bark. Number 7. Orange-brown stained pressure-treated lumber used for raised beds, retaining walls, and garden benches. From 1975 through 2015, pressure-treated wood was the go-to material for backyard structures because it was cheap, widely available, and resistant to rot for 15 to 20 years. The distinctive orange-brown hue, however, has become a visual marker of the 1980s. Over time, the wood weathers to streaky grey-brown, and corners begin to crack and split, often exposing the copper-based preservatives that can leach into nearby soil. For new constructions, opt for cedar, redwood, or composite lumber. Cedar naturally weathers to a silver gray that reads as intentional design, while composites retain their color for over 20 years and are resistant to insect damage. Existing structures can be refreshed with a solid color exterior stain in a dark neutral such as charcoal, deep oak, or black, which masks the orange-brown and updates the visual language without altering function. Adding a simple metal bracket or a decorative metal cap to the top of a bench can also modernize the look while extending its lifespan. Number 6. The bright white vinyl picket or privacy fence that encloses the entire backyard. White vinyl fencing peaked between 1995 and 2015 as a low-maintenance alternative to painted wood. The material truly required only occasional soap and water, but the stark white edge creates a hard visual line against the softer greens and earth tones of mature plantings. Modern design trends favor deeper hues, matte black, dark bronze metal, or weathered grey composite that recede into the landscape. For new fence installations, choose a darker vinyl or horizontal cedar with a dark stain. For existing white vinyl, plant a screening hedge of inkberry holly, Ilex glabra, Annabelle hydrangea, Hydrangea macrophylla, Annabelle, or upright yew, Taxus baccata, directly against the fence. Within 3 growing seasons, the hedge softens the white line and integrates the fence into the surrounding garden. Adding vertical garden pockets or trellis panels with climbing vines such as clematis species, or trumpet vine, Campsis radicans, can also break up the monotony and add seasonal color. Number 5. Smooth, fist-sized river rocks or porous orange lava rocks spread across an entire foundation bed as a permanent ground cover. From 1975 through 2010, rock mulch was marketed as a low-maintenance alternative to organic mulch. River rock and lava rock never break down, so a bed installed in 1982 may still contain the same stones today. However, weeds sprout in the dust between the rocks within 2 seasons, and the rocks absorb heat during the day, radiating it back at night and warming the soil to the detriment of nearby plant roots. Replace the rock mulch with 3 to 4 inches of natural shredded hardwood mulch and plant a mix of low evergreen shrubs and perennials. The organic mulch cools the soil, reduces weed pressure, and revives the bed within a single growing season. Species such as dwarf Korean lilac, Syringa mayeri palibin, low bush blueberry, Vaccinium angustifolium, and ornamental grasses like blue fescue, Festuca glauca thrive in the improved conditions and add year-round texture. Number 4. Thin black or brown plastic edging with a rounded top edge that separates lawn from planting beds. Plastic edging became a staple from 1985 through 2015, sold at hardware stores for about $2 per linear foot. The promise of a clean edge without annual recutting was only half true. After 2 or 3 winters, the plastic heaves, curls, and rises above the soil line, signaling a yard that has not been updated in a generation. Remove the plastic strips and recut the bed lines with a half-moon edger, making a 3-inch deep vertical cut that follows gentle, natural curves. Though the cut must be refreshed twice a year, the result is a confidently designed edge that reflects intentional landscaping rather than a shortcut. Enhancing the new edge with a low border of crushed stone or a narrow band of ornamental grasses can further disguise any minor imperfections and provide a softer transition between lawn and planting zones. Number 3. The cookie cutter row of identical yew, juniper, or boxwood balls trimmed into matching round shapes along the foundation. From 1960 through 2010, developers installed straight rows of evergreen shrubs to provide a uniform winter presence. Homeowners maintained the identical spheres year after year, creating a recognizably developer-issued look. Replace the uniform row with a layered foundation planting that breaks the line. A small flowering tree at one corner, a mid-height evergreen such as inkberry, Ilex glabra, or compact yew, Taxus densiformis, a flowering shrub like Annabelle hydrangea, Hydrangea macrophylla Annabelle, or knockout roses, Rosa radraz, and a low evergreen ground layer such as wintergreen boxwood, Buxus microphylla. This varied palette adds depth, interest, and a sense of design while keeping maintenance comparable to the original. Interspersing ornamental grasses like Japanese bloodgrass, Imperata cylindrica red baron, can add movement and further soften the overall silhouette. Number 2. The overly wide strip of mown grass running between 2 flower beds, often 20 to 30 feet wide. Wide grass paths were the norm in the 1970s and 1980s when lawn culture dominated suburban design. The extra space required more mowing, edging, and watering, and the broad strip of green became a visual reminder of an era that prized expansive lawns over biodiversity. Narrow the path to the width of a single mower deck, typically 20 to 24 inches, and expand the planting beds on either side. For a more garden-centric approach, replace the grass entirely with stepping stones set in pea gravel or shredded bark, interspersed with low-growth ground covers such as creeping thyme, Thymus serpulum, or dwarf mondo grass, Ophiopogon japonicus nanus. The result is a functional, low-maintenance pathway that feels intentional rather than leftover. Adding a subtle border of low boxwood or dwarf ornamental grasses can define the walkway without reintroducing a hard, uniform edge. Number 1. Dyed orange, red, or black wood mulch spread uniformly across every foundation bed. Dyed mulch is the most ubiquitous trend on this list. Almost every American suburb features at least one bed of bright orange, deep red, or black wood chips. Chain garden centers promote it as a premium product, refreshing it each spring and fall. The uniform hue instantly dates the yard to the 2010s, and the neon orange has become the signature color of promotional landscaping cycles. Switch to natural, double-shredded hardwood mulch purchased in bulk. This mulch breaks down into the soil within 2 seasons, providing a background that lets the plants shine forward. The natural color evolves with time, turning from a rich brown to a soft, earthy tone that complements the surrounding foliage. For additional longevity, consider a blend of shredded bark and leaf litter, which improves soil structure and encourages beneficial microbial activity. So, what if you could eliminate these 18 aging trends from your own yard? By swapping dated elements for timeless, low-maintenance alternatives, you'll give your home a fresh, modern look that adds years, rather than subtracts them from its overall value.